Certainly before I was a believer, I thought that it was absolutely ridiculous for anybody to manage this question of modesty. I thought that to have rules about dress codes were, that they were restrictive, that they restricted creativity, but that also they locked women into a particular, and I thought unhealthy posture of weakness and even of femininity. I really felt strongly that that kind of legalism was controlling and that it kept women behind and that it was just kind of a dumb waste of our conversation. Isn't there something more important to talk about? And again, then, I became a Christian and it became clear to me, it became very, very clear to me that the seeds of the gospel are in the garden, and that being made in the image of God, male and female, came with a pattern, if you will, and that pattern wasn't negligible. At the same time, I didn't care much about dress code or things like that still, but I thought, okay, that does make sense. I believe now that men and women are not interchangeable, but I still wasn't terribly burdened by this idea of dress codes and those things. And then transgenderism came into full view. And the question of modesty now takes on a very new conversation for me. And so part of my interest in talking about modesty right now is not really necessarily to talk about hem lengths, although I'm sure that's an important subject. I want to talk about why we live in a world that values exhibitionism and how in the world that is supposed to benefit women. I certainly know of women whose reputations have been completely destroyed because of exhibitionism on social media. And what I mean by that is just saying too much. And so this world of exhibitionism in which we live is a dangerous world. And the biblical response is indeed modesty. When God's gracious response to Adam's sin was to clothe him. In fact, the need for clothes is itself a sign of the shame of nakedness, which is only not shameful in the covenant of marriage. Modesty in dress and in speech that distinguishes men from women is extremely necessary in a world that has been given over to the idea that men and women are interchangeable and that you can literally put anything before your eyes and it is not dangerous. And we live in a pornographic world, and clothes, appropriate clothes, are a good response to that, along with appropriate speech on social media. So right now, where we live, 2023, exhibitionism has replaced modesty and would like to make the case that that's liberation. And that is the furthest thing from the truth.